Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is the Voices of Healing podcast, and I'm your host, Tina Clark. Today's guest is Lea Dombrowski. She is a holistic health coach, and she's going to share her story of how she overcome her gut issues, as well as her experience with her clients and overcoming various health challenges, including weight gain, or the goal is a weight loss. So, welcome to the show, Leah.
Hi, Tina. Thanks so much for having me.
Can you share a little bit more about yourself with the audience before we dive into your story?
Yeah, so like she said, my name is Leah. I'm a holistic health coach and nutritionist, and I really do specialize in helping women lose weight, but I also do a lot of gut health issues because I do functional medicine as well. So a lot of the women I work with, want to lose weight but have an autoimmune disease or have PCOS or have issues like bloating, constipation, eczema, psoriasis, whatever it is, diabetes. So they're just like have this deeper issue that they do kind of want to work on and overcome. So I like to kind of hit it at both angles because I know a lot of people who do want to lose weight do have these deeper imbalances at play, which need to be addressed.
Yeah, so that's a good point that many people have various health issues, not just one.
Yeah,
And yeah, and they're all interconnected.
yeah, exactly. So a lot of people don't realize that it all stems in the gut. Anything you can think of is a gut related issue. So even by addressing, your gut health, you can send autoimmune diseases into remission and reverse your diabetes and heal from PCOS and not be bloated and chronic fatigued anymore. So it's very important. So I love educating and talking about it because that's kind of what I went through on my own journey. And now I love helping other women do the same.
Okay, so why don't you share about your own experience and how did you overcome your gut health issues?
Yeah, so I think most people in my field do have their own story about it. But for me in particular, I, always had gut issues. That's kind of was my thing. Even at a very young age, I pretty much came out of the womb with stuff going on. I had a lot of chronic infections, especially as a baby, a lot of chronic infections, and that kind of followed me throughout middle school and high school where I was constantly getting sick, having infections, having a sensitive gut, stuff like that. And, at the time, I didn't understand that there was a reason I kept getting sick. My mom actually worked at a hospital, so she was very conventional focused. But then at the age of 20, my issues started getting pretty worse. That's kind of when I struggled a lot with chronic bloating. I had chronic fatigue that was so bad I could barely function, really bad in anxiety and acne and hormonal issues, you name it. It was just a lot of stuff. And of course, as I always knew, I went to doctors. I got colonoscopy, endoscopy, ultrasound, you name it, I did it, and nothing worked. I couldn't get any answers, and I just felt very dismissed, like a lot of women do. And after a few years of this, and my symptoms kept getting worse, ended up getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I decided enough is enough. I need to figure out what is going on because this is obviously not normal. And that's kind of where I researched nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, functional medicine, learned about what that is, and fell in love with it, and was able to heal my own gut and send my autoimmune disease into remission. So that's kind of what made me fall in love with all these things, and just being able to help other women do the same things is just very rewarding.
Wow, that's great. I love to hear stories about this. So, can you give us more detail on what did you actually do? What did you learn?
Yeah, so I would say, for me, I definitely needed functional medicine. With all the symptoms I had and all the issues I had to kind of go through the functional medicine route and really get to the root cause. And for those who don't know what functional medicine is, it's a more holistic way of looking at things. So when you go to your doctor and they're running tests on you and looking at your labs, they are looking at based off the average of the US population. And when you think of the US, we're very obese, we're very sick, we're very ill. So that's not optimal. But in functional medicine, they do look at optimal ranges where people feel their best. And we can see things like gut imbalances, hormone imbalances, nutrient deficiencies. So for me on my own journey with my autoimmune disease, I never went on a medication. I did all supplements, all nutrition, all lifestyle changes, and was able to send it into remission. Whereas in conventional medicine, they wanted to put me on a pill for the rest of my life. So it's getting to the root cause, really healing the whole issue altogether. So for me, I did have to do a lot of functional medicine for a pretty long time just because I had a lot going on in my body. Obviously, like I mentioned, was sick since I was born. So there was definitely a lot going on there. It took some time, but I also made huge changes to my lifestyle, the way I ate, the way I moved my body, like prioritizing sleep, prioritizing stress, like those all definitely played a role in helping me heal and the way I feel. I like to say I was raised off Pop-Tarts and cereal because my diet was very processed. So I had to really make a lot of changes, and it took a lot of time, but I feel incredible, and it was all worth it.
So it sounds like you had these issues since you were a baby. Is this something that can be inherited?
Um, I mean, I think yes and no. Obviously, like, you know, in the womb, like you are kind of getting everything from your mother. You're getting your mother's gut microbiome. You're getting stuff from her. And if your mom like eats something or does something while pregnant, it's going to go to you. So I think a lot of the things, since I was born, literally born in the hospital having some issues, I think obviously things did go on with my mom and with my family that did impact me. And that doesn't necessarily mean my mom had gut issues or something going on. That could mean that when I was in the womb, she was exposed to some toxins, like from the environment, from food, from whatever it is. Like there's so many things that can impact a human being. And, like I said, I was raised on very processed foods, and know my mom ate that way too for a very long time. Now I've helped her navigate that, but I know she wasn't the most healthy and didn't really take care of her body in that means. And, frankly, she didn't know better, so I don't blame her. But yeah, I definitely think I did get a lot from my parents, but there was a lot that I didn't get from my parents, just like I said, from the environment, from food, from the way we kind of live, especially in America. I think there was just a lot that happened outside of that too.
Yeah. So say a listener has gut issues or an autoimmune disease. How do they even begin to start looking at functional medicine? Where do they start?
That's a good question. I mean, I love functional medicine with all my heart, but there are a lot of bad functional medicine doctors out there. I'll be honest. Just like conventional medicine, just like anything, there's good and there's bad. Like good and
Mhm.
there's bad teachers, there's good and there's bad veterinarians. Like every place has them. So it's really about finding the right person and making sure they are looking at the right things. When I was educating myself and doing my certifications and doing school for functional medicine, I did have an internship at a functional medicine practitioner, and I did not like what they did, and I did not resonate with what they did. So I would say the big red flags to look out for is if, number one, they don't look at your diet. I probably went to like 3 functional medicine doctors who did not look at my diet. They did not look at what I ate. And like I said, food can really cause a lot of inflammation in your body. I was not eating in a good way the time I was sick, but no doctor I went to looked at that. And if they did give me any recommendations on diet, it was very baseline. It was not tailored to me. So I think in order to heal properly, you do need somebody who does take a look at your nutrition as well and gives you tailored feedback about that, not just something basic. For example, the person I interned for just gave everybody a sheet with foods to eat, and they gave that to everyone. And I'm like, that's not helpful because everybody is different and every body is different. So I really do emphasize people, please work with somebody who's going to look at your nutrition. The second red flag I see is that a lot of functional medicine gives people the same protocol. So the place I interned at, they had the same starting protocol no matter what your issue was for everybody who walked in the door. And it was exactly the same. And I don't like that. Your supplements and what they recommend should be based off you, your labs. So I don't like just giving a general supplements. They really should be testing you. If they're not testing you, they cannot give you supplements that are tailored to you. But the third red flag I see is that a lot of a lot of functional medicine practitioners will over test because they do make money off of these tests. So for the example, again, the place I interned at, everyone walking in the door would be required to take the same 5 to 6 tests. And I don't like that because again, not everybody needs those 5 tests. Everybody is different. So a good functional medicine doctor is going to test you based off your symptoms and based off your concerns and based off your body. They're going to give you supplements based off your labs and explain those supplements, what they are for, and they're not going to be the same as anybody else's. And they're going to give you in-depth feedback and review about your diet and your lifestyle and things like sleep, stress, nutrition, like movement, like that should all be included. So that's what I would really urge people to look for. And it can be hard to find that, but they are out there and there are people who genuinely do care and are not just money focused, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's good advice because there's plenty of doctors, plenty of chiropractors, plenty of energy healers, and you have to, vet them or use your intuition on who you're comfortable with. And it's okay to change your mind if you have an appointment and you just don't vibe with that person or, you want something different, right?
Yeah, I wasted a lot of my own money on bad functional medicine doctors, and they never helped because they didn't care and they didn't take the time to get to know me. And when I talk to other functional medicine practitioners in the field, they're like, I sit down with my clients for like an hour and really go in depth and learn about them and find out what's going to be best for them. And a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's a shame. And that's kind of why I really am passionate about what I do and helping people the right way, because it just sucked to be in the other side of things.
Yeah, so everybody is an individual and unique, and you have to find what works for you. And so, any
Mhm.
practitioner that you go to see, you want them to look at you as a unique individual,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, none of this cookie cutter stuff, if I have a client that comes to me with anxiety, I'm not going to look at them as the same as all the other clients that have anxiety.
Yeah.
Because everybody has different experiences and coping mechanisms. So I can't even imagine treating everybody the same.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Point home, it's like if someone has anxiety, it's like, well, there's different types of anxiety, like it's definitely insane.
Right, right. So can you talk a little bit more? I guess you can talk about your experience, but kind what kind of autoimmune disease did you have, if you could share, and what kind of diet or nutrition worked for you?
Yes. So I had Hashimoto's, which is the thyroid. If you have hypothyroidism, I think it's 95 or 98% chance that you have Hashimoto's. So if you are listening to this and you have hypothyroidism, you probably have Hashimoto's. So that's what I had, and that is the most common one I see in my practice and in humans. I think thyroid issues are very, very, very common nowadays for multiple reasons. Like I said, the environment, the food really does have a role in plays impact on our thyroid and its functioning. So that's what I struggled with. And, for me in particular with Hashimoto's and with any thyroid, any gut issue, it is really about being mindful about your nutrition. So eating really whole and nutrient dense foods really helped me because for me, like I said, I struggled with very negative, very bad chronic fatigue. And by just changing my nutrition, I saw huge improvements in my energy, my mood, and the way I felt. So the number one tip I have for nutrition would be, again, whole and nutrient dense foods. So foods with one ingredient. If you are going to buy a packaged food, just take 2 seconds to look at the back and look at the ingredient label. If the ingredient label is hectic, don't buy it. If it's dates, almonds, and milk, that's fine. So I definitely would do that. And second, I would say really prioritize eating balanced meals. So you are getting enough nutrients. And what a balanced meal is a fat, a fiber, a carb, and a protein source at every single meal. What this does is that it's going to help balance your blood sugar. A lot of people, especially in America, have a lot of metabolic issues and a lot of blood sugar imbalances. Things like PCOS, diabetes, insulin resistance can all be very well managed by focusing on your blood sugar. And that's a really easy tip, to just really focus on leveling out that blood sugar, not causing those spikes. And again, making sure you do get those nutrients in your body ineffectively. So I would definitely think those are like the two things that people should really be mindful of. I am a huge protein girl. So protein is going to be the most essential macronutrient in my opinion. Obviously, they're all essential and they're all important, and you should not neglect any macronutrient group. But protein in particular, very good for blood sugar, very good for building muscle, and very good for metabolism. So they're all different. That all differently plays a role in your body. So really not neglecting that protein. I like to recommend aiming for about 1 gram of ideal body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, but your goal is 130, aim for 130 grams of protein a day. And this, again, is just really going to help your energy levels, your metabolism, your blood sugar, and so many other things, and building muscle. And muscle is probably the best thing that somebody can have on their body, because muscle helps you become more sensitized to insulin, helps your blood sugar, and also helps you age well. So it protects your bones, it protects your body, and it will help you lose fat, gain muscle, but so become more lean. So a lot of people who want to lose weight go to cardio. The best workout you can do is definitely weightlifting and building muscle, because in America, the issue isn't overweight, it's under muscled. So a lot of us are under muscled, which is causing us to hold on to fat and gain that weight. So I know that was a lot, but I would reiterate, just focus on whole nutrient dense foods, prioritize those balanced meals, get that protein up, and start going to the gym. Those would be the 4 things that I recommend the most, and the things that helped me the most.
Yeah, so now that we're talking about this, let's segue into weight loss, and you do help your clients lose weight. So let's talk a little bit about what you're finding with your clients and what are some of the solutions for that.
Yeah, so definitely under muscled. When you don't have a lot of muscle, it's going to be very easy for you to gain weight and have fat on you. So when people do go about weight loss without strength training, you're going to lose weight in both fat and muscle. So this is going to make you look flabby, not toned, not lean. But if you weight lift and lose weight, you're going to lose weight in just fat. So you don't want to be losing that muscle. That muscle is really important for a numerous amount of reasons that could go on a whole episode about muscle. So definitely strength training is key. The other thing that I see a lot would be metabolic damage. So again, in America, a lot of people will take weight loss to the extreme. So a lot of women, I work with women. So a lot of women I talk to, when they're like, I've trying to lose weight and I'm eating 1,000 calories a day and I am going keto and I'm going an intermittent fast and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm going on the cardio for 10 hours a day, being dramatic, but
Yeah.
it all hurts your metabolism, and your metabolism is like a fire. So when you don't feed it, when you're not eating enough, when you're overdoing it, when you're doing too much cardio, when you're cutting out carbs, when you're hurting your body like this, your metabolism and that fire is dimming. And when that fire dims, your body is going to be more susceptible to hold on to fat. So a lot of women will get stuck in, most commonly known as starvation mode, but the real word for it is metabolic damage. So it's just your metabolism needs some love, and you need to be fueling your body enough and having that nutrients and the right nutrition for you to make your body more optimal, be able to build that muscle, and for your body to let go of that fat in a sustainable way. So definitely those are like the two things that I see a lot. And that all comes down to the right nutrition and the right workout. So your metabolism can be lit again. It just takes the right nutrition, it takes the right plan, and it just, goes to show that weight loss isn't always straightforward, and not to just do a random diet you see online.
Yeah, I for one, I'm exhausted by diet. So
Same. I see a new one every day, I feel like.
yeah. So what's your take on fasting?
I like fasting, and I think it has a lot of benefits, but I think people do it in the wrong way. So most people will intermittent fast, and they'll stop eating at like 6 p.m. or whatever, and they're going to start eating at 12 p.m., So a lot of people intermittent fast in the morning. I'm not a fan of that for a few reasons. When you don't eat breakfast, that means you're waiting hours for your metabolism to get going. So that's not beneficial. It can really impact hormones. So being somebody who works primarily with women, it can really impact a lot of hormones and the way your hormones function. And again, it can really slow down your metabolism because it's going to make it so you're not eating enough. But that goes to show I do like fasting, but I would recommend doing it the other way. So scientifically, the most beneficial amount of time to be fasting is 13 hours. 13 hours, you're going to get those benefits. Your body is going to rejuvenate, and that's enough time to kind of take a break from eating. So what I do is I stop eating at 6 p.m. and I start eating around 7 a.m. and that's going to be 13 hours. You're still eating 3 meals a day. You're still eating breakfast, and you're not fasting for a long period of time where it's going to impact any parts of your body. So that's what I would recommend to people, is just do it overnight versus in the morning.
Well, that's pretty easy to do because there's some crazy fasting times. Like people are fasting for 24 hours, 36 hours. I couldn't even do it. Like if I tried.
I mean, there's different benefits depending on how long you fast for. So like the 24-hour fast, for example, is like when you fast for 24 hours, it allows like every part of your gut to reset. But again, I think 13 hours is that sweet spot where you're still getting a lot of the benefits, but not having to do a ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's very trendy right now is the whole intermittent fasting. And so it's
Yeah,
hard to sift through all the information out there.
yeah. I would say like just a lot of things online are complete bullshit. Like geez, I'm like, please, like, take everything you see with a grain of salt. And obviously, there's good content creators out there, but there's a lot of random stuff that makes it zero sense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of content creators that are copying each other too, which makes me suspicious. It's like they're finding something that's trending and then they completely copy it and make an exact copy of that video. And
Yeah,
see that?
yeah, that's it. That's just sort of weird.
Yeah, and then I go, where's the source for this?
Yeah, exactly. I would just tell everyone to take everything with a grain of salt and be curious.
Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
So, so with the functional doctors, they're medical doctors, but they focus on functional medicine. I guess, do they get a certificate in functional medicine? I don't know much about that
It's
arena.
a person. So like obviously you can go and like go to college for it, and like get a degree in functional medicine. It just like would be a specific specialty college. So they're out there. There's a lot of different programs online. That's what I did. I did an online functional medicine program. I didn't want to go in person. So that's what I did. But there's a lot of different online and in-person schools. Again, I don't love all of them, but the one I did, I do like, but I do want to do more in the future. Always like, there's so many out there, so I'd be interested in like doing more.
So I imagine if you were talking about how important muscle building is, as we get older, we lose muscle faster.
Mhm.
So for women over 40 who suddenly start gaining weight, would that be the first thing you recommend is to do the not bodybuilding, but strength training?
Yes, I think at any age, I have a client who's 70 years old who's never stepped foot in a gym, and I had her step foot in a gym. So
Wow.
doesn't matter how old you are, at any age you can build muscle. Like, she's doing it at 70 years old, so you can do it too. And I think that's beneficial for anybody at any age, even if you're 20. I would highly recommend that. Might as well start now. So at anybody at any age, I think the benefits are just incredible, and having muscle is just going to help you. The 70-year-old is going to help her be able to play with her grandkids and stay active and bend down and not break a bone and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think it's just, I couldn't recommend it enough.
And that's the other benefit of strength training is bone density. And as you get older, you run into problems with osteoporosis and weakening of the bones. I just had a friend that had a bone density test, and she's in her late 50s, and she's like stage 4 osteoporosis.
Gosh,
And
yeah.
I asked her, I said, have you been exercising? What kind of exercise? She's like, oh, I take walks, but I've never joined a gym.
Mm,
And to me, I was like, oh my God, this is why exercise is so important because I've been going to gym since my early 20s and I never stopped.
good for you. Yeah, that's incredible. I definitely can't recommend that enough. I think that the benefits are incredible, and a lot of people get intimidated by the gym, and they're like, well, how do I start? What do I do? Like, oh my gosh, am I going to go be a bodybuilder? And I'm always like, laugh at that, because it's like, how hard it is to be a bodybuilder. It probably takes it takes years, and it probably takes some steroids and like,
Yeah, and they don't even live long either.
yeah,
They're.
it's not
So
easy. So I think, like, I've been weightlifting, since my early 20s as well, and I do not look like a bodybuilder by any means. So it's like, it's nothing to be scared of, and the gym community is very supportive and friendly, and really, like, everybody's a beginner at some point. So I really do give kudos to anyone who's trying to learn and get started, and I think there's so many benefits to it. There's nothing to lose. There's really not.
yeah, and most gyms, if you join, they'll connect you with a trainer to show you how to do all the machines. And if you don't want to do the machines, you can always take strength training classes, which I think is more fun personally. And I'd rather do that. But any way you do it.
Yeah. I would definitely say the classes aren't the most beneficial way to build muscle, just because they don't really utilize like progressive overload or, very tailored movements. And in order to build muscle, you have to challenge the muscle. So if you're doing 5 pounds every single week, that's not going to be beneficial. You got to
Right, right.
overload, which is increase the weight, increase the intensity, and keep challenging yourself weekly.
Yeah, I see a lot of women in my classes doing the 5 pounds, but I always try to do as heavy as I can, 8 or 10 pounds.
Yeah, 5 pounds
Yeah.
get you so far.
You got to challenge yourself. You got to work the muscle to get stronger.
Yeah, I'm like, I lift extremely heavy, and that's the way to do it. That's how you build muscle, is you got to put a lot of weight on there, and you're stronger than you think. I promise you.
Well, thank you, Leah, for sharing your experience and all this useful information. Can you share a little bit about how people can contact you if they would like to work with you?
Yeah, of course. So the best way to reach me is probably Instagram. My Instagram is just my name. So LEA_DOMBROWSKI. You can DM me. You can DM me the word podcast so I know where you came from, and I'll hook you up. So that would probably be the best way to reach me. But I am also on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, same name. So that would probably be the best.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was fun.